Well, good morning and welcome to Think About Thursday. It's a time to reflect and think about where you want to be as you listen to our podcast, all about emotional and mental health. And I must remind you that I am not a doctor, not in any way. I am a professionally trained life coach. And thank you for joining our podcast. And my co-host is Trish. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, wherever you're listening around. Ordinary people. Let's think about ordinary people. What are ordinary people? People just like you and I. Every day we see them. Every day we hear them. They are normal people. Only you know what it's like to be you. And if that's the hardest job that you have, then don't you want to improve yourself? I think about self-improvement. I'm never a person to say I don't need to improve, because some of us may believe to the contrary that we are perfect. I don't know any perfect people, but if you all know perfect people, I'd love for you to challenge me. But there's always room for improvement. I'm going to need you to come in. As you do, please. We are live. And I want you to know that as we are live, we're doing our best to bring you beautiful improvement. Beautiful improvement means that Trish and I, we're working on our podcast every day. And I'm going to tell you, our podcast has done very well by means of you all who are ordinary people. We thank you worldwide. So how do we improve on ourselves? How do we improve with ourselves? You know, some of us want to be perfect. And if you can't get perfect, maybe it is that you may not want to try. But here it is. You can become the best versions of yourself. And as you know, practice makes perfect. No, practice makes improvement. Think of yourself as not a score. You know, people, when we were kids, you know, in middle school, rating people from 1 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, we always did that. And when you think about that, that's not a real life thing in life. Here's where we are, though. We are about looking at ourselves first to self-improve. How many of you would like to see yourself at your best? You know, you see somebody and they put their best dress on and you say, wow, that really looks great, or you look great, right? That's where I want you to be, where you're looking at yourself and you're seeing a better version of yourself in the mirror that you stand in. I would love to see your best you. How about yourself yourself? Would you like to see your best you? I would love to see the best of you. How do you rate when it comes to your own personal selves? We think that when we look at ourselves, we rate ourselves in the worst way, let alone somebody telling us how bad, how unworthy, how we're not enough. But that doesn't mean that people can't tell you the truth. Because here it is. Your friends who love you, your family members who love you, expect truth from them. Sometimes what may be said is not always easy to digest. And we want to do this in a way that's going to prove to be your healthiest, right? Not being too critical, because some of us have damaged ourselves by being too critical of ourselves. So today we're going to work on improvements. We're going to ask the question today, what are you thankful for? I think we're having technical difficulty, so we're trying to work that out. Thank you guys for being patient with us. Thank you so much for your patience. We are live. Don't forget that. There they are. Don't forget that as you come in, Vibe Talk is all on streaming now. And if you can't find us, go to our social medias. One is at Facebook. And if you type in on Facebook, Vibe Talk, you will find us. That's VIBE TALK. You can even find us on Instagram. So we are here for you. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
And what are you thankful for this day?
I'm thankful for getting my music channel back up. It got terminated 2 days ago, but it's back up now. That's what I'm thankful for.
I'm thankful for that too. I saw that and I thought, oh no. Trish spends a lot of time in working on our things as well as her things. And I can't find a better person who has worked with me so diligently. Glad you got that fixed. I'm thankful for people entrusting to me to help another person. Yesterday, my schedule called for one thing, but I was called for something totally different. And I'm okay with that, because here's where it is. We learn flexibility. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. Good morning, good morning. Please let us know where you're from. If I happen to miss you in any way, please don't take that personal. We're just live and we're just giving you something to think about on this Thursday. And you can find us on our YouTube channel that is also by the name. Please do that. Our YouTube channel is 35 subscribers right now, and we want more to subscribe as you listen. Don't forget to let us know where you're from. So you want, as an everyday person, an ordinary person, to improve yourself, you say? But how? Today, we're going to give you something to think about, something in which you can take away and start. There's no better time than to start today. You know, we think about our life, we think about improvement. What do we need to do in our lives to become self-improved every day? Practice, right? So what about you? Are you practicing things that are good for you? We talk about challenging ourselves. That's what I expect from myself, and I expect from the clients that I have. And by the way, if you want to be added onto my client list, you may always connect with me at our direct connect 661-503-8993. The only thing you're required to do is be on video for our first one on one. That's so that you can see me and I can see you. Challenging ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, showing self-respect, and learning how to resolve conflict, and learning to manage the stress. Does that sound ordinary? All of us are going through the four things that I mentioned, but I want you to be able to do it better. That's your personal growth. Every day, I want you to look forward to something in your life that only you know that needs improvement. Challenging yourself is positive. If you were to stay at the same rate, what would that be like for you? Good morning for those of you who are here. What if you were to attempt to improve your life, but you had no idea of how to go about that? How would that make you feel? What do you think, Trish? If you had no way of knowing and no guidance, how would that make you feel?
I would say it would make me feel lost.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you something to think about. Now, in order to improve the quality of your ordinary selves, we want you to realize that there's nothing wrong with being ordinary. You may want to check your well-being and perhaps add more purpose to your life. When we come here every day, Trish and I, as host and co-host, we are gathering together our own stories to be able to present to you. What about your story? How do you write it on an everyday level? Because it's up to you how you see your life. You know, some of us are fine with our lives. I can't tell you not to be or to be, but I want to give you something to think about. What would you like to do as you are writing or telling your story. What's the vibe of your story that you want to tell? Some of us are dramatic, while others of us are bland, while there are still yet others who are very excited to tell their story. And I forgot about the ones who never tell their story because they feel like, what's the point in doing that? You have a pen or a pencil after all, so write away your story. We used to have a saying in Vibe Talk. Do you remember it? We want.
Yes.
What was it, Trish? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ray. Good to see you. Go ahead, Trish.
Our saying was, we want to know your story.
Yeah. Yeah. There's hundreds upon thousands of people on a vast platform such as these. And you all have something to say. No one can write a better story than you can about you because only you know your story, right? Ray says one new adventure at a time. Sometimes it sucks, but it always is something, whether chaotic or fun or exciting. Yes, in storytelling. So what's your story? Today we're going to think about our story. We are going to make available to ourselves what we want our story to look like, as if it's going to be our self-improvement manual. How do you want it to look like? That's the first part. You want it to be exciting? Do you want to be able to tell the journey that you've been on and where you are today? It's your story. Begin to write it. Sometimes we might be thinking about when to tell our story. When do we start to tell our story? And that means that we need to think about how we want to tell it. Because if you haven't thought about it, everyone has a story. Have you ever been somewhere, perhaps work, school, uh, at home? And we'll start there. Every last one of your family members have a story to tell. Sometimes as family members, we don't take the time to hear the story that needs to be told. I can safely say, and I'm so glad that my mom has shared her story with me. In fact, her story makes me feel like I'm in her story because of her telling me about her upbringing down south. I feel like I was there. In fact, sometimes I joke with her and tell her I was there. Is your story like that? That somebody can really get the vibe that you've set for them? I've never been anywhere down south, back east. I'm a California girl. I've been out of the state, never down south. But the way my mother tells it is as I have lived her story. Why am I saying that? Because there's others, hundreds of you, that can relate to our stories. How many of you have found that to be true? Have you guys found that to be true? Ray, Trish, anybody that's listening today? We are live, by the way. Have you all
Yes.
felt like you've lived somebody's story?
Yes, I felt that before.
And what was that experience like?
It was it was a humbling experience, I would say that, and also I felt like they can relate to me and I can relate to them. I felt like someone understands me because their story is similar to mine.
Yeah. Yeah, Ray says yes too. Yeah, when I'm talking to people every day, there are certain people that their stories are so similar. And it's good to be able to think about when we want to tell our story because no one can force you to do it. But we want more people in Vibe Talk. Why do we say that? Because it's been going strong for the last 3 years. We're going to be on our 4th year, short of 6 more months. Um, let's think about this though. As you look at your life, have you improved? Have you had certain circumstances that have come up or people that have been in your life that have become roadblocks to your development? I'm going to re-ask that question. Have you had certain things in your life or people in your life that have made you feel stuck? Anybody? Nobody? Somebody?
I have.
Sometimes. Go ahead, Trish. I'm sorry.
I was saying I have.
Okay. And what's that been like for you?
It's been improving actually. I've experienced a situation with coming across someone that had me stuck in my life, and I improved by not being so triggered by them, but just saying a simple hello. You know, before when I see them, it's this boiling feeling, you know, this anger towards this resentment. And now when I see them, I just say hello and move on because I've moved on. So I've improved with that.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate everyone who shares, and we share as co-host and host because we want you to view us as ordinary people, everyday people. In fact, that's our song for today. If you go to our reel, Ray says yes, and it sucks because I've improved in, in more positive thinking. Thank you for that, Ray. Thank you so much. You too can join us live if you care to. How about the word feeling stuck? What do you think feeling stuck means if you're feeling that? What do you guys think that means, stuck? People say, help me, I'm stuck.
I think it means, for me, it feels like there's nowhere to go. There's no getting out of it. There's no solution. I am just there dealing with it.
Restricted. That's how I feel. Yeah, yeah. So let's think about this. Let's be active, ordinary people and think about every day if we're waking and we're feeling. Ray says no clear direction for yourself. Thank you, Ray. Perhaps you need to explore the idea of what stuck means. Because not all people feel stuck, but rather some may feel empty. We've heard here first on Vibe Talk that there have been people who have felt lonely, empty, and there are different vibes that they're feeling. So what do we do? What can we do about these feelings? We need to use the word change. I want you guys to think about the word change. Not the change that's in your pocket. Change as an idea to improve. What do we need to do? Reflect and act. When we're feeling less positive, reflect and act. See, today is a day to think about thought, mindfulness. It's Thursday. Think about Thursday. So we reflect and then we act. The purpose for the reflection is to see and think over what's been going on with you or your life in order to have that change. Some of us, though, as we reflect, we never stop. But we are encouraged to stop so that we're able to reflect. What happens if you keep going and going and going and going? Eventually, you're going to come to a standstill and end up right where you were before. But here's what can help. When you make your decision, that's the action part. When you come to a decision, what's stopping you? What's making you feel stuck? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of people's reaction? Or are you still in the cycle of negativity about the change that you need or want to make? So the first direction is, in order to think about reflection and being active, you must stop to think. Every day I tell my young men to be careful of their surroundings. So your surroundings are going to need to be looked around. I want you, wherever you are, don't do this if you're driving. Pay attention to the road. But for the rest of you, I want you just to look around. Just gaze around for just a second. I want you to think about a blind spot. Is there any blind spot that means something to keep you from seeing clearly? Is there a blind spot wherever you are right now? We all know what that is. When you say blind spot, you can't see. Okay? And then I want you to ask yourself, where is your blind spot in your life? Something that you may not be able to see clearly, something that you may not be able to think clearly about, something that you may not be able to get clear direction. I believe that was mentioned by Ray. So in order for you not to have the blind spot, what do you have to do? What do you guys think we would have to do to get rid of that blind spot? Pay attention. Pay attention. Because if I've got a blind spot if I'm driving, I can't move it, right? I'm going to have to pay attention and know the clear direction in order to be safe. There's a word, safe. What makes you feel safe? in order to be able to see around the blind spots in your life. Because if I'm driving, I'm going to need to cross that blind spot or see around, not just gaze, but really pay attention to what's going on. How many of us have really paid attention to what's going on in our lives? I was made to have to pay attention. Maybe you're not there yet. Anybody out there been made to pay attention to what is going on in front of them?
I
You may have
have.
hit it. And how was that for you, Trish?
To be honest, it was actually hard, but at the same time, I rather reality than putting on a blind spot, because for me, I rather not think about what's happening in front of me. I rather ignore it, but being aware is important. So being aware just made me realize what's happening and think about, other solutions
Yeah.
to the problem.
So paying attention, right? Right. Now, as you think about things, you use your mind to be able to think about things. Thursday is a day when we say think about Thursday. Well, we know thinking thoughts comes from our mind. And as we think about our mind, sometimes our heart leads us to a decision. So what do we need to do? Our feelings come into play. And then from that, we put them into action. Always remember that. Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome. So, learning that you have the capability and the ability to think. Listen to your head, yeah. Learning to reflect on your thoughts and your feelings. You're able to put those hand in hand, your thoughts and your feelings, so that they make sense. Because I used to say many years ago, my thoughts are not connected to what my heart feels. Right? Right? If we've ever had that, we know the discord there. But we need to think about reflecting on the heart and mind coming together. Think about that. Easy enough. What are you focused on right now? I asked that question. Maybe you haven't had the opportunity to be asked that question. Well, what is your focus on right now? I meet so many people and have had much clientele that worry about their past. They are so overly worried about their past that they cannot practice being the ordinary person. It is as if their mistakes in the past have stunted their growth. Today, if you were that person, I would like for you to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to let your growth be every day, as it will improve your life, improve your focus. Is that an easy thing to do, to let go of our past? If you were with me some time ago, we did a balloon test. That was the purpose of the balloon test, to help us to exercise the letting go, right? Those balloons stood at as obstacles. And when we blew the balloon up, there were things that we were going to let go of, whatever we were working on. Like, it's hard for me to forgive people who hurt me. I know that sounds a little off, but I'll tell you what, I do have that issue. So what do I have to let go of? Being unforgiving. So I blow that balloon up, and then I release it to let it go. If you've ever done that test, you'll understand the connection. And if you want to do it, let me know. By the way, our email address is vibetalkfacingthelionpodcast at gmail.com. Ray says, no, he hasn't had that experience, and I'm the same way, but I'm learning to let go of grudges or hurt. Yeah, working through that. Yeah. Try the balloon test, and that was the purpose of that balloon test, to find out how easy it was to let go. So now, we face many challenges. We do challenges on Friday. What have you challenged yourself with? Today is not Friday, but what have you challenged yourself with? What have you found more challenging in today's world? Every one of us have something different. Here are some things that we may have dealt with. Living in the present, fighting to have peace of mind, letting go of unhealthy attachments. And by the way, our forgiving others means forgiving yourself, because there are many people who live with not forgiving themselves. So as we look at ourselves, how do you fare right now? Are you an everyday, ordinary person, and that's just it? Everyday people going about your life and the hustle and bustle of life? Or are you a person, an ordinary person, trying to be better at being just you? There is a difference. We look at everyday practices. Do we use our time well? Time managing? I took a course some time ago in time managing, how to manage my time, because I have had businesses in my life, and if I'm going to be a manager, I need to be conscious of time. If I'm going to be serving others, I need to be conscious of time. I'm still working on that, because you see, I don't want to waste any time, as I don't want anyone to waste my time. Ray says, trying to be a better me every day. Yeah, everyday people. The feeling of your self-improvement, your well-being, doesn't it matter how productive you are? How many of you have went to work or been at something that you're working at, and the time has passed by, and you realize, my time flies? How many times have you ever said that? Because you were doing something productive.
I have. I say it all the time with my music, because I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning working on something, and all of a sudden it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, whoa, that was
Yes.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get better at time management. You know, we start with the most challenging things. Trish is morning. I'm morning. Not everybody is morning people. But whatever time of the day you have, look at your time management and see how you can better assess your time management. Ray says he likes those days. What goals have you set for yourself in becoming a better person? What goals have you set? If you've set one goal, that's good, because that may be the hardest goal. So setting goals for yourself, accomplishing something. What do you want to accomplish? That makes for self-improvement. A best you as an everyday person being better at your being just ordinary. If you set realistic goals for yourself, accept that and holding yourself to that. But if you're setting too high of a goal, stay aware and kind of become a person that is aware that you might be expecting too much of yourself. Set the smaller goals and then work on the biggest goals. Or some people want to do the biggest goal first, but is it attainable? Ask yourself. When we think about our thoughts, because we're talking about thinking, we think about everyday situations. Some of our situations are unbeknownst to us, just like yesterday. Went out thinking that I was going to do one thing, and here I am called for another thing, which was excellent because it involved else. I do that every day, but this was needed. So I spent most of my day doing that. But I want you to think about your own thoughts. What makes you see your world more positive? Because we can be the hardest on ourselves. Who here has been hard on themselves? Good morning, and thank you for being here. Who here has ever been hard on themselves? I have.
I have.
It's challenging. Trish says she has. Yeah, it's challenging to see yourself from that negative thing that we do. We pick ourselves to death. If you've ever been bullied in your life, you know what that feels like, right? But I want you to stop and think for a minute. We're going to use the word think because we all have to think about something. And then I want you to put yourself back into that space. And then I want you to stand in front of you, and I want you to see in your mind's eye what it would be like for you to bully yourself. Has anyone ever asked you to do that? Has anyone ever asked you to do that? If you've been bullied. And I think I want to really take this into the schools and help children realize what it feels like to be bullied. Because if you were to stand in front of yourself every day and do that to yourself, what would be the outcome of that? Would it be improving? Or there a lack of improvement? Yeah, it's deep, isn't it? If I were to tell you to say 5 things that a bully has said to you, and hear that come out of your mouth, that would be something so traumatic. Why? Because, see, you picked on you. Some of us have bullied ourselves. You know what we say? We're not enough. We're always messing up. We can never do anything right. We're stupid. I blame you. You're rotten. Can I go on? Let's stop bullying ourselves and start to speak into ourselves for self-improvement. That is one of the things that we have to get rid of in order to feel any kind of change. We want to be able to say things about ourselves that are fact. What would it hurt you or cause you to speak into yourself something that you do well? What do you do well? Is there anything that on your list that you could speak to yourself and say, self, I do this well? Let's start speaking to ourselves so that we can be more than ordinary. Changing the way we think. Once we have changed the way we think, you know what comes next? The way that we feel. I know for some of you, the bullying yourselves is kind of hard because no one does that. But in reality, we all do it. When we constantly remind ourselves that we are not good enough, that nobody loves us, we're not worthy. How many of you have bullied yourself, truthfully, now that you've had that demonstration of what it is? I love that, Ray. Ray, you're enough. Yeah. How many of you have bullied yourself? Does that make sense? Am I making sense to anyone out there? Because I want you to understand what we do to ourselves. I have told myself I'm not good enough.
I have. It's hitting hard over here.
Yeah. How many of you knew that you were bullying yourself before I said that? Anybody?
I didn't know it was that. I thought I was just being hard on myself, like being my worst critic. I didn't take it as me bullying myself. But it makes sense, though. It makes sense.
So speak positive. When you start thinking differently about yourself, I love that Ray wrote that. Ray, you're enough. Talking to himself, that's a good start, because the more that you say that, the more that you feel that. There is something good that everyday people may do. Everyday people may do. We're ordinary people, but some of us have done some really great things. Speak those things into yourself as an ordinary person every day. In life, we face circumstances that make us feel like nothing is going right. You ever had one of those days? Nothing goes right, and if so, tell us about it. I'll give you a minute. I'm back. Did you all get a minute to think about it? That was a brief pause. And some of the questions I'm asking does require you to think. And we want this to be beneficial to those around you. Let's begin to speak and feel positive. I want to take the time to express to you, when an ordinary person such as you and myself practice something every day that's good, it is a life changer. Such as our physicality. How many of us are getting enough sleep? Anybody getting enough sleep out there? Sometimes I don't.
I haven't been sleeping well this week.
Yeah. And why do we do that? Does anybody know? We want to talk about that. Stay aware of why we may be doing this. Racists know. How do we do it? We need to think about our sleeping. What do we do when we need to sleep? We need to be on our phones. Maybe you do. Sometimes I'm on my phone, and sometimes it interrupts my sleep. Here's something that some may do: put their phone on silent. I'm learning to do that. That way and that's my personal phone, guys. The other one, even if I'm not available at the moment, leave me a text. But we're talking about my personal one. Racist self-doubt is creeping, can be creeping in your head. Yeah, keeping you up at night. Yeah. Um, it was a comedian that talks about how we deprive ourselves of sleep. Here we are, and I thought it was really funny, but it's realistic. How many times have we laid down and we start thinking about the day and we say, I wonder, did so and so get my text? I wonder, uh did that mail come? I wonder what tomorrow, what I'm going to wear tomorrow. How many of us do that or something similar to that?
I do.
Yeah. And you're depriving yourself of sleep if you're worried about it all night. I do it too, especially if it comes to my kids and I'm wondering, today was not a good day. I may have said something. I may have had words. We all do as family members, and you worry about their emotion, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Sleeping well affects your mood. It deprives you from being a person to practice improving yourself. It is so important that we get sleep. I notice with me when I haven't gotten enough sleep that in the daytime, if I've got 5 minutes to wait for my next client, I'm asleep. True story. The other day, I was waiting on a client, and I didn't know that I was asleep. And so an acquaintance of mine saw me waiting in the car and was calling my name. I was out cold sleep. Do you think I'm perhaps deprived of sleeping? That's something that I need more of. Because when I think I'm sleeping, I'm not sleeping. That's self-improvement. Neglecting my sleep. Being able to rest. One of the things I learned to do was put my phone on silent, my personal phone. My other phone uh, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm up at 2 a.m., but I'm able to see your text. I'm able to respond if I needed to in an emergency. We need to be able to effectively have a good night's sleep, to make decisions, to fulfill our tasks, to solve problems. Everyday people, right? Right? Physical activities, jumping, running, you know, some of us may be getting too old to be running, you for fear that we might break something. Well, does that mean that we can't participate in physical activity? For the older people that are listening, they have physical exercises. For disabled people, there are exercises you can do even in your wheelchair. How are you all doing? You stay pretty active? Some people go to the gym and they're everyday gym people, and that's okay. Some people set aside time for exercise. That's real good. Nothing wrong with that. Making it a daily routine. But now, moving around. It's hot. I just went to a swim party. Didn't get in the pool because there were so many kids. So none of the adults got in the pool. How about taking walks? I do that. Um, Taking the stairs instead of the elevator. I don't do that. But there might be some things that you do. I do dance around the house. So I'm a very busy person. But to improve your ordinary everyday life, about walking around for 5 minutes every hour. Like this week, I'm going to start walking around the mall for half an hour. I think it's good. I promise I won't buy anything. Practicing gratitude every day. We have come in here, ladies and gentlemen, and we have asked the question. What's the question we asked, Trish?
What are you thankful for and why?
What are we thankful for and why? Why are we asking that? And as you think about that question, why is it a need to ask? I'll tell you why. Because every day, as we live every day in every moment of our life, there are things to be thankful for. The other day, I actually watched a bird get his food. Maybe that's something that doesn't amuse you or doesn't excite you, but it excites me because it's Jehovah God's creation. And it excites me because it tells me a lot about my creative, how intelligent he is to give that bird instinctive qualities to be able to get the food. That was deep, huh? Yeah. How to get its food. And if you watch that, it is so awesome. Maybe those aren't the things to be that you're grateful for. Maybe you're just grateful to wake up every day and breathe. But I want to tell you something. Every day is you're expressing verbally how you feel. That's why we do it. Sometimes we spend more time maybe thinking about the negative in our life than the positive. And every day, Trish, you and I have made a practice of asking, what are we thankful for? Has it made you more thankful? Even if it's a person that you're thankful for, say that. What if you didn't have the person? How about living your life intentionally? There's unintention and intention. Let's figure it out. We're going to look up the word intention, okay? And we're going to go into something very deep with this because we are giving you something to think about. Now, we are going to start with the word intention, okay? Look for the word unintention, Trish, if you can. I'm going to do intention. When you think about intentions, they're an aim, a plan, okay? When we do something with intention, it means that we're aware, we're conscious. It's deliberately willful. Now, Trish, do you have unintentional?
Yes, I do.
What does that mean?
Unintentional means not done on purpose.
Yeah. So thank you for that. When we do something intentionally, we're aware that we're asking every morning since we've been on air, what are you thankful for? We're doing it with a purpose. See, we're not being unintentional. It's very rare that we may forget to do it, and there have been some shows where we have forgotten to do it. Ray says he's thankful for a lot. I love that, Ray. Keep that up. But we are intentional about saying, what are we thankful for? And I ask you this question today, what are you thankful for? And thinking about that, we're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. Don't go anywhere as you're with us this morning on Facing the Lion podcast. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, streaming everywhere.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, YouTube, and there's so much more. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot.
We're back. And we're going to listen now to Trisha's Treasures.
Improvement. To be honest, I used to get offended by that word because improvement sounded like you make lots of mistakes and you're not perfect and that's not worthy. That's what it sounded like to me. And I don't think that way now, but before, I was so offended when I work so hard on something and for example, let's say an essay. I work so hard on it and I give it to the teacher and I expect her to look at it like how I looked at it, like, yeah, that's great, that's good. You don't need to change anything. I expected her to look at it like that. But there was always something to be revised or edited on my essays. And I would reread it like about 7 times. I would reread it and say, there's no way that there's any errors in this paper. Like, there is no way. And there was errors in the paper. And when I looked at it, I would see that, whoa, how come I didn't see that the first time? Like, I reread it, but I didn't see the errors in that paper. And so I rewrote the essay. And I actually followed the instructions of the revisions that I needed to make, the mistakes that I needed to change. And suppose I didn't change those mistakes. Suppose I said, that teacher don't know what she's talking about. Like, I wrote that and it was good. It was great. And I feel like it was great. So there's no changes that needs to be made. If I would have did that, my grade wouldn't have been a 90. It would have been a D or below. And I'm saying this to say that improvement is important. Improvement is valid because we are not perfect. And for me, that's a wake-up call because I am the kind of person that has the mindset of, if I do something and I know that I did great, then it is great. But there's some times where you can make a mistake and you don't see it. But when you get the view of it, it's your choice whether to improve it or to keep it there. And I take my improvements very seriously, especially because it's my life and I take myself seriously. And the more I improve, the stronger I get mentally and also physically, because the mind works so well with your physicalities. They have to work together. If my mentality is strong and improving, then I'll improve physically. So if you are on the road to improvement or thinking about improvement, think about the benefits that it will give you and think about what you need to improve. To improve, you have to think about, what is it that I need to change? It is a challenge, but to improve, you have to start. You have to begin.
Thank you for that, Trish. You can hear more of Trish's Treasure just by hashtagging Trish's Treasure or come to our Facebook page at Vibe Talk. We're here for you. Thank you so much, guys. We want all of you to think about things, not just one day, not just as a passing thought, but really think on how to improve yourself, because even with all the therapeutic help that's out there, only you can change you. That is, if you're willing to change you. So the next question would be, are you? Our last question of the day is, what have you learned and discovered about our programming, about about yourself in this episode of Everyday People. What have you learned about yourself and how did it make you feel? I'll tell you, I learned about myself that it's okay to admit, first of all, where you are challenged versus where your strengths lie. That's okay to estimate that. That's okay to reflect on that. Because when I look at my challenges versus my strength, okay, I don't see failure as a borderline. It gives me something to be consciously, intentionally aware of. And that made me feel impactful. Trish, I ask you the same question and you as the audience. What did you learn from today's programming on Everyday People and how does it make you feel?
I learned that me myself that when I need to improve something, to try to improve it instead of getting myself stuck mentally and not finding the direction where I need to start to improve. Instead of beating myself up about, oh my goodness, I made a mistake and there's no coming back from this. I need to get unstuck and find out the solution or the I'm sorry, I can't think of a word.
Not
But
apologies.
I need to find the right path for me to begin again. I need to improve something. And this podcast made me feel it made me feel thoughtful about what I need to be improved or where I need to be improved in myself.
Understood that. Ray says, thank you for that. Even if I stumble and fall, it's okay to look and reflect and grow from those mistakes. Also, no more self-doubt, even if you feel negatively, try to always look for the brighter side of things. Thank you guys for the interaction. You too can interact right here with me as a professionally trained life coach and certified. We do one-on-ones. If you want to do a one-on-one, let me know. Um, it's just such a beautiful thing to see one's working so hard to improve themselves. By the way, this is a live recording, so if you feel like you're missing it for the day, because we know some of you listen to us every day, even though not virtually present, we are on YouTube and we're streaming everywhere. I want to say thank you to Trish, Ray, all of you who are out there. Trish being my co-host, thank you so much. And those who are listening to us all over the world, we can't say thank you enough. If you can't find us, just remember, type us in Google, ask Google or Siri, whichever you prefer. They'll point you to us. Isn't technology just great? Now we've got AI. Can't make sense of that, but if that's a new thing, okay. That'll probably even point you to us. But here's the thing. We're giving you something to think about. And by the way, since Facebook and Instagram mutes a lot of music that we're playing on our radio show, Vibe Talk After Dark, get yourself iHeartRadio and you can hear the show in its entirety. It's Vibe Talk After Dark. We are on Saturdays between 8 and our 8 p.m. or 8:30. If you can't find us at the one time, you'll find us at another time. We're also live, but because of rights and copyrights, sometimes Facebook will mute us. You can hear our entire Vibe Talk radio show on iHeartRadio and Spotify and other places. But just know where to find us. We haven't went anywhere. Thank you for joining us with something to think about, Trish and I, on Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Have a great day and a great weekend, everyone. Bye for now.
Because I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you to think about. I was really about to move it, then I got the vibe with it. I really took the time with it. I really want to ride with it. I really got the vibe with it. I took the time with it. I really let the ride with it.